The knowledge is accumulated knowledge, what the world or what society gives us, puts in us, feeds us, conditions us with or into believing. This new series will be about dismantling that collection of knowledge that is a learning that is untrue. This new series, therefore, is about dismantling the untruth of the conditioning. I'm not doing this for the sake of knowledge or theory. I'm doing it for clarity. It's not for accumulating more knowledge or information. It's about exposing the untruth of the conditioning. It's not about intellectualizing or being intellectual about the conditioning or the untruth, the knowledge. But the only way to expose, I suppose, is to use language. It's not spiritual, although it does point to something that there is no word for. The limitations of language are the limitations of language, but it's definitely not about intellectual discussion. So it's about confronting illusion, and I will use the only tools that I have available, which are thought, reflection, and honest questioning. The introspective part of truth and introspection. One thing it's not about, especially, is that it's not about building a new belief system. So it's about breaking down the construct of the knowledge. Knowledge is not knowing. Knowing is something different. What I'm doing is expressing what I have come to know, which is not knowledge. If we call it intellectual, then it can become something of a debate. If we call it spiritual, it gets wrapped up in robes and incense and pomp and ceremony. Really, it's something of a mirror, and if held still long enough, there's a possibility to see something without flinching, without resisting or rejecting. I want to say the process, but I don't mean to imply that it's a process. At least not a process that can be formalized or formulated into a process to be followed. I wouldn't know how to do that. Part 1. Let's get real. In everyday speech, I, in quotes, refers to the identifiable person that others see when they look at you, when they address you, when they interact with you. By the same token, the word me, in quotes, refers to the physical body and presence that interacts with the phenomenal world. The physical person. In truth, I, in quotes, refers to the sense of self that thinks, feels, intuits, senses, perceives, is inspired to create, and other such things. In short, it's the inner, private world of experience. A deeper truth is that, now, I use these terms very loosely. The ego and the spirit exist only by name. To expand on this just a little, here's something I wrote a few days ago. The topic of the conversation on social media when I wrote this was being authentic. Be yourself, be authentic. I wrote, being authentic doesn't mean anything, because no matter your mental or emotional state, your confidence level, or thinking at any given time, that's who you are at that time, authentically. Simply put, it's impossible for anyone to be inauthentic. Even putting on a brave face or winging it is being your authentic self in that moment. Openly admitting to feeling a certain way about the mask, as it's known, is equally as authentic as not admitting it to anyone. Basically what I'm saying is that authenticity, it's a fake concept created by scammers for fakes. So the I, in quotes, that refers to me, in quotes, it's not a fixed entity but more a placeholder for experience in the moment. And it's subject to context, it's subject to language, and it's also subject to deeper inquiry. And in a sense, that's what this series is about. So the question comes up then, why, about fixing what's broken. Now, I don't see that there's anything to fix in any person. Every person is complete and whole exactly as they are. No one is broken. Therefore, how can there be anything to fix? By and large, people believe the majority narrative, that which society perpetuates. Self-improvement is as much a money-making enterprise as government, education and the justice system, to name just a few. And it's a business model that anyone can duplicate if they convince enough people that they know what they're talking about. So-called healing is the biggest untruth ever unleashed on the unsuspecting masses, created and perpetuated by religion and the spirituality industry and its plethora of self-proclaimed gurus and masters. Having said all that, even the religionists, gurus, masters, coaches of the self-help industry and so on, who honestly or innocently believe their own stories are authentic in the sense that they are unable to be anyone else other than who they are or who they believe themselves to be. Now, anyone wishing to take issue with any of these people would be advised to seek out those who deliberately seek to scam and con people, knowingly and intentionally, although I would question the wisdom of taking issue with anyone about anything. Now, anyone can learn something new at any age, and I can't pretend to know everything there is to know about learning. Beyond formal or self-directed education, the most worthy learning is to know oneself deeply. Growth, as I understand it, is to grow in depth rather than intellectually or in some other way. Now, I am not religious and I'm not a Christian, but I know what I know. And I know that in the story about King Solomon in the Old Testament, he sought, as the story goes, only to be the wisest man who lived. Growth, as I see it, is to know and understand oneself so completely that one knows that all people, without exception, are subject to the human condition, and that all people function and, generally speaking, behave much the same the world over. Many years ago, I said to someone close to me, I wish I understood people. If I'd known exactly what I was wishing for at that time, well, I didn't know. It was later that I realised that to understand others, I would have to know myself as deeply as possible. Not myself, but my self in quotes. Only by understanding myself would I, or anyone, be able to understand humans in general. This understanding has caused me to feel many positive and extremely negative emotions about humans or humanity as a whole. Even think extremely negative thoughts about humanity as a whole. The most worthwhile growth is attained by studying oneself, one's thoughts, feelings, emotions, reactions, responses, the inner private world. I have to say though, it's pointless to challenge your thoughts or thinking processes the way some people would try to teach you that you can or should or whatever. All that is required is to notice, to see oneself from the inside without any effort whatsoever to fix or change anything. It is by observation that change or growth naturally transpires. It just unfolds by observation. This might be something of a silly example, but it goes some way to explain what I mean. During any given day, I might feel a need to go and buy something from the local shop or local store. I observe that it's raining outside, and without much thought or deliberation, I pick up my umbrella on the way out the door. It just unfolded that way. No, the umbrella, my picking up the umbrella. This brings us to the end of part 1.